Okay, you're live. All right. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining Simi and I this evening. Thank you for joining us to have this conversation today. I know there will be some people on Facebook. We want this evening to be very interactive, and we have some people signed up with us on StreamYard. Thank you very much, members of the FinanceCoachBK community. Thank you for doing this, for helping yourself be financially fit and desiring to create wealth. Today, I'm going to be talking with Simi, and we'll be talking about faith, we're talking about family and financial freedom. So 3 things that, are very interesting. And Simi, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you so much. Can I have Simi on the stage? Thank you very much for joining us. It's always exciting when I have you with me. We had a conversation last year, and the reactions to that was, the reactions were very positive. I know you're a busy mom, a busy wife, a minister, and a career woman. So I appreciate you creating time to be with us today. Thank you so much. Before I start with the questions, Before I start with my questions, I'm going to introduce Simi for those who have not been part of a conversation that I've had with her in the past. Simi Okai, she's an author, and she's a producer with Christian Broadcasting Network. She produces a program called Turning Point International. Simi is married to Pastor Sam, and they have 3 sons. Simi was born in Nigeria, where she lived for 8 years before migrating to Australia with her family. In 1998, God moved Simi to the United States of America, where she now lives with her family. There's a whole lot to talk about Simi online, but I think the questions for us this evening, we want to get answers to our questions. So if you want to know Simi more, she also has a YouTube page, and the program that she produces has a YouTube page, right? The Turning Point has a YouTube page. Thank you so much. And who else is a perfect guest for a conversation around faith, family, and money other than Simi? Because she's a mother, she's a wife, she's a career woman, and she's a woman of deep faith. And these 3 things that we want to, talk about today, it's a good, beautiful intersection. And I hope and I pray that God would speak to the listeners, to the audience, and to those of us here this evening, that we will take something back from the conversation. I'm listening because I know that in having these conversations, God also speaks to my heart and tells me things that I also can do better. Ladies and gentlemen, God is going to speak to us, and I'm going to start with, I think I should start with faith, the faith journey, Simi. I know it's something, that radiates in your work, in your career, in your relationship with your sweethearts, family, the way you treat your parents and, siblings and people you know. Faith always stands out. I want you to share your faith journey with us. I know you were born into a Christian home, but at what point, what's the turning point that your relationship with God, deepened and, changed? What's the turning point of your faith?
Thank you for that question. I think thinking back on it, I've always been someone who believed in God. I was raised in a Christian home, as you said. So I was always aware that, okay, God exists. I believe in him. But I believe it was when probably first when I was a teenager, around 16, that I was like, okay, that I realized that God is not just out there and, it's just me, but that he wanted a personal relationship. Like, he's a God that you can know. He's a God that you can talk to. He's a God that cares about every detail of your life. And so when I made the decision I was a teenager, to give my life to Christ, there was an altar call at church. And I just felt like a nudge from what I now know is the Holy Spirit, that give me your all, give me your yes, surrender your life to me, and trust me with it. And knowing that, hey, I'm a sinner, I've made mistakes. As the Bible says, all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. And that I have a Savior who said, if you just put your faith in me, if you just believe in me, in Jesus, that he died on the cross for my sins, that he rose again. If you ask him to be your Lord and Savior, he will. And so I was like, okay, I want to take this step. Like, I don't know what's on the other side, but that was the beginning, where it's like, as a young kid, you're kind of like, I know everything, I'm going to go to school, I'm going to have fun, do all those things. But I think when I felt that tug, like, no, there's more. I want to walk the life that God has for me and what the scripture says. And I took that step. And I'm like, God, I give you my all. Something changed radically in me. So much to the point that, my first year of college, I was, a lot of kids, we leave for college, or you leave your parents' home and you're like, okay, I'm free. I can try whatever I want. Actually was someone who was like, I'm going to go clubbing. I'm going to go partying. Like, I'm going to go for that life. And so it's like, it's fun on the surface. But I felt empty inside. Like, it's like, there's gotta be more than this. Like, I come home and I feel like God is like kind of tugging at my heart. And when I made that decision, I think I was around 17, to like, God, I'm going all in. I don't want the life that the world gives. I want what you have for me. I want to follow you. And he totally changed my heart. He opened my heart to just the love that I never knew existed, really. Sorry, I don't know if I answered the question well, but that was the
yes
turning point.
You answered the question. So you had your turning point at age 16 to 17.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that it's been a blessing, because some people find that relationship much later in their lives. But you are fortunate to have found it, and it's such a privilege. I know that because I have experience. I've spoken to people who wish they had met and had the relationship you had at 16 at a much earlier age in life. Now I'm still going to I'm deliberately keeping the ice cream story till later, but there's a lot of God factor in that story. But as I ask the questions this evening about your relationship with money and all of that, I know and I expect that the God factor is going to come into it, which is why I wanted my audience and my friends to understand at what point you met Christ. Thank you for sharing that with us. Why is it important, especially for a career person like you, why is it important to have a God factor? Your career and finances, why is it important, and how have you been better off having that deep relationship that you have with Christ? How has your career and, your choices money-wise?
Oh, absolutely. He is in everything. He has led me through everything. I don't know anyone watching who feels like they have it all, they know it all, they know where they're going. It's important at a point when I realized, like, Lord, when I said I surrender my life to you, it was just not my life. It was my finances. It was my career. It was who I'm going to marry. Like, it's everything. I wanted God to be the Lord of my entire life. So I would seek him in every decision, which included career. I had the thing that I thought, okay, I like doing this, and I'm not sure, maybe I was going to do law. That was just what we do, you pick like a sure career and you go for it. But once I gave my life to the Lord and began to ask him, God, what do you want from me? Like, and he began to reveal things. At the time I was in Oregon, and my parents always watched the 700 Club, CBN. And so I found out about a university, Regent University in Virginia. And at the time when I was seeking God of what I should do, I wasn't sure because I enjoy working with kids, and I was interested in law. I liked reading. I didn't honestly know what path. So I prayed about it and I said, God, please show me. My parents really encouraged me to after I told them I don't think law is my direction, they encouraged me to at least go get your master's in something, you know? And so it's important to listen to parental guidance and counsel. We all have our ideas, but it's, you know, the Bible says in the multitude of counsel is safety. So I definitely encourage that. Listen to the voices of your parents and mentors that God has put around you to speak into you. So I'm like, okay, I need to go somewhere. I look at Regent, which I was going to go to their law school. And then I'm praying like, God, what can I do? And then I saw they had a journalism school. And I'm like, oh, I enjoy journalism. I enjoy writing and, you know, reading. And, you know, I want to, you know, I enjoyed that field. So I thought, well, okay, God, okay, if this is you, this is literally my prayer. God, I would love to go to a Christian university and, you know, learn journalism. I didn't know the future, but I'm like, I just want to learn about it. And I said, God, if this is you, would you pay for it? That was just my, you know, my conversation with him, just to really direct me. And I got a full scholarship.
Wow.
So that was kind of like a green light, like, okay, next path. I didn't know the full picture, but I'm like, next step. Okay. That was the beginning.
So I hear you. I hear direction.
Yeah.
So one of the advantages of you know, having a deep relationship with God for your career and your finance and even family is direction.
Yes.
You know, God guides you and directs you, and with Him, I speak for myself, and I know you will say the same thing. There's no mistake when He guides you, right?
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that. Now, because I know you personally, and my friends around the call don't know you, but I want you to share with us, you know, some maybe one or two moments when God has showed up for you, for your family, big time, big time. It could be relating to money, it could be relating to anything, something that you, and don't talk about the ice cream man, yes.
Oh,
How
man.
God has shown up for you.
How has He not shown up?
Exactly. But just pick two. Pick two. I like that response. How does He not show up? But just pick two of your favorite ways and times that He has shown up.
He's shown up. Do I talk about when I was pregnant and went blind and He healed me? Like, which one?
Yes, please share that. That's why I said I know you personally, but I know somebody's going to be blessed this evening by you sharing that story.
Okay, I would love to share that. So, and I think it's important to know that, you know, just because you're a Christian and you believe in the Lord doesn't mean you won't go through things, doesn't mean you won't have obstacles, and doesn't mean problems won't come, because problems like to come, as we all know. But when they come, God is also in them. His presence is there. So my husband and I, when we first got married, we'd actually gone through a couple of miscarriages. And so there was that, like, God, will I ever be a mother? Will this happen? I didn't know. And then He blessed us with the fruit of the womb. And so in 2013, I was pregnant. Everything was going smoothly, you know, until it wasn't. And 35 weeks into my pregnancy, actually it started about 30-ish weeks. Now that I look back, you know, I'd wake up and my eyes would be swollen. It's just weird things that, you know, you're a first-time mom, you're just assuming, and you tell your doctor, and I think they just assume, oh, swollen feet, this and that is just
pregnancy symptoms. Yeah.
So I didn't think anything of it, but one day I woke up and I could not see. Actually taking a nap, in my head, I was having a major headache. My husband took me to the pharmacy. We called the doctor. They're like, take medication. I went to lay down. I woke up completely blind. Nothing. Like, not even like you see some grays, blind. You can imagine my, you know, shock. So thankfully my husband was home and I told him. He actually thought I was joking because it was so unbelievable. Like, what do you mean, you know? And when he saw I wasn't, rushed me to the hospital, you know, and I was 35 weeks pregnant. And I remember, because prior I had felt like, you know, we had miscarriages and God promised, you know, He would give us the fruit of the womb. And I remember when the doctors were shining, you know, a flashlight in my eye, Can you see that? Can you see that? And I couldn't see anything, even with the light in my eye. And I was like so discouraged. And I remember thinking, wow, God, you've blessed me with this son, this baby, but I won't be able to see him. And so what ended up happening, we went into prayer, of course, and, everyone praying in my whole family community, and God, as you said, what has God done? He delivered me from blindness. The doctor said that, and I asked, okay, am I going to get my sight back? And they said they don't know. It was like, because I thought, okay, fix me, please. What do I need? There was no solution. It was, we don't know. So it really was God when that song says he opens the eyes of the blind. He did. I ended up being about 2 days where I had no sight. They did MRI scans, and what happened was I had preeclampsia, what they call amaurosis fugax, and HELLP syndrome, where my liver was shutting down, my brain was swelling, it shut up my optical nerve. It was serious. But God delivered me
Yes.
from that. And Emmanuel is now 11, turning 12.
11.
So, I mean, that's just one,
That's one. Yeah, that's one. I think maybe we'll have a session that will just be testimonies, but I have to go to the next question. And thank you for sharing that with us. And I know people around the call who may be in some form of, difficulty or maybe some uncertainty. They just need to understand that God can show up and will show up. We just have to hold on.
Yes.
Right? Thank you for sharing that. Now, because I know you again, I can talk about this, right? I know that you grew up in Nigeria and that before you left Nigeria, your background, you had a privileged childhood. That's what I would call it. You went to the best school in Jos. I would say the most expensive, but you went to the what we call then elitist schools, right? So you grew up and you had privilege, a banker, father, entrepreneur, mom, and all of that. I want you to share with us some of the things or maybe lessons, things that from your childhood has shaped your relationship with money today. Okay, some of the habits and things that you picked up might, be along the way right after you moved out of home. But is there anything in your background that has sharpened your relationship with money today?
Yes, I think even though my parents I'd always had an appreciation for hard work. I always knew it wasn't. It's not that I'm anything special, or they're special, or it's just I learned from them to work hard, to have a belief in you're never owed anything. Nobody's waiting to hand you things.
I like that. Nobody owes you anything.
Nobody owes you anything. I don't care what position you're in. No one owes you your house, your anything you have. It's first by God's grace. It's God that gives us the ability to produce wealth. And then I've always had that grateful mindset of anything you have, to appreciate it, to be content, because it is God that gives. He's the one that's given me parents. He's the one that has given me this opportunity. So I've always had that thing of, to whom much is given, much is required. So it's not just to sit down and say, okay, mom and dad, give me money. Even in, when I went to college, my parents, although they were never like, oh, here, do you need this? Just give me money because I need something. I will say they instilled in me that you have to work. You like something, you work for it. Get a job, be in school, have that mindset of how can I take care, not just of myself, but others. So I think I was never, maybe others would think that looking up, but I was never spoiled. They provided, but it wasn't like.
Can you leave me to be a judge of that?
Oh, you think, okay, yes, you can. From
No,
my
it's my
memory.
opinion. It's my opinion. I said, just leave me to be a judge.
Okay, okay, okay.
I'm just teasing you. I'm just teasing you. Thank you for sharing that. What I hear is discipline and an upbringing that helps you to value money, to understand that money comes from a place of hard work,
Yes.
and to have an understanding that in spite of a privileged background, you do not feel entitled to anything. Those are very unique, and very important, financial fitness habits that you should have that can help you grow well. So anybody around the call listening, those are valuable things. And you're a parent today. There's some around the call, our parents are going to be parents down the road. Important things, even when we provide for our children, that we should, give them that environment to learn these things that you've talked about. That money, the value of money, there's hard work behind everything that appears to be a privilege, and discipline, not feeling entitled and all of that. Very important. For you to bring these things to the table means that these are things that you're also applying to your sons, right?
Yes.
So in spite of the privileges they have, you let them understand the value of money and the value of hard work. Thank you for sharing that, Simi. And for people that are invited on the basis of the story of the ice cream, the ice cream man, we're getting very close to that. Thank you for sharing that. Now, I'm going to ask you this. I want to talk about the ice cream story now, and then come back to the question on the way you and Pastor Sam handle money. So you've been married for over, I put 10 years here, but now if Emmanuel is 11, then you've been married for over 11 years, and you have 3 sons. You trusted God?
Yes.
Trusted God with,
actually, but
sorry?
we're 12 years. We'll be 13 this year.
13, yeah. Yeah, and it can only be God. So you trusted God with finding a God-fearing man, and God showed up for you. I remember one of your visits to Nigeria, we went out for dinner, and on our way back, it was, at the back of the car, and you asked a question and said, how do you know when the man is right? At that time, you hadn't met your ice cream man, right? Now, the story of you meeting Pastor Sam is very unique, and I have, without divulging what will be personal to you, I wanted to share with people around the call, because I did invite some of my friends who are living across countries, my young friends that I mentor, who are living across countries, and I invited them on the basis of your story that you will share with them today, that it's possible to find your life partner outside of your geographical location. Can you please share the story of the ice cream man? And by the way, ladies and gentlemen around the call, she's written a book. That's why we introduced her as an author. Books now, right, Simi? I think you have a second one out. Yeah,
I do. Yeah.
So the first one is the ice cream man, where she told the story of how she met her life partner, and that story. Can you please share with us the testimony of you meeting Pastor Sam?
Oh, I would love to. I love talking about it because it just highlights that God is the ultimate matchmaker. He is the author of romance. I always say that. All the movies we could watch, Hallmark, they can't beat what God can write and what he can do. And the fact that he does care about this area of your life is something that I'm very passionate about encouraging people with. I think that it's important because marriage is one of the most important, outside of having a relationship with Jesus, it's one of the most important decisions you can ever make for your life. And I really understood that, after giving my life to the Lord at 16 or 16, 17, like really being serious, I understood that there's no way I could pick who I would marry. I am not that smart, I had an understanding that, God, I want you to pick. And I know many of you watching, you've seen good relationships, you've seen bad ones. You've seen ones that you're like, I hope that's not my story. And I remember thinking, who can I trust with this? And it was God. Like, I'm like, God, I trust you with this. And we read in scripture time and time again where he does that for people. One of the stories very close to my heart was for Isaac and Rebecca. My Christian name is Rebecca, so I don't know if that's like, you know.
Oh, I have a friend around the call who is Rebecca.
Oh, you see? So it endeared me to it. And I think there's so many stories about love. You have Ruth and Boaz, you have Rebecca and Isaac. You know that God put Adam and Eve together. Out of Adam's rib, he created Eve. And he did that. And I always felt like, well, he's the same God that did that. Why not for you? Why not for me? We have to grab a hold of that. So that's what the basis was like, God, I've seen you do it in the Bible. Do it for me as well. And so that's really was my prayer. I didn't want to have to go through lots of heartbreak. Nothing wrong with that if you've gone through it, but I know from experience of friends, heartbreak is not funny and it's not easy. You know, it's something very serious. And I felt like, Lord, I want to give you my heart. Would you protect it and keep it safe for that time? So that's really, the backstory is when I was a teenager, I gave my life to Christ, and I also gave him that area of my life and really wanted him to take the lead and not me. Because many of us know, like, if we do it, like, oh, he's cute, I like him. Oh, it looks like he has money. That's going to work. Like, we try to make it work on our own. Or we try to, like Coach said that, you think proximity is what will bring you to your mate. And for me, that was not my story. My story, everyone has their own, but mine, when I made that decision and I said, God, I give you my heart, my body, my life, I want to save myself for marriage. I want to just do things your way. I thought it would happen, in a few years. It wasn't quick like I thought. I had never had a relationship or a boyfriend, gone on dates, you talk to a guy here and there, but nothing ever. And I realized that God took me seriously when I said, please, Lord, don't let anyone break my heart, or, I don't want to enter a relationship unless it's the one you have for me. And he
had your prayers.
Pardon?
I said he had your prayers.
He did. And so fast forward, it wasn't until I met Sam when I was 26. And I was on a work trip to Nigeria. I had a fleece. In my time of waiting and praying. I really wanted God to guide me in that area. And so my prayer was, God, I don't want to get this wrong. So, and I encourage people, you don't have to have a fleece. It's not like there's a formula. Really, it's just about relationship with God and trusting that he will guide you to your person and doing it his way, praying, trusting him, and being open to what he will do. And so my prayer was that, would you have him take me out for ice cream on our first date? Because I like ice cream. And I'm just, that's something I imagined and enjoyed doing on the first date. Nothing spectacular, but just some ice cream. So this was just my prayer to God. And I don't know why I prayed it. I don't know. You think back, like, what were you thinking?
Why did you make such a request?
Yes, like sometimes I think that, but I think it was just a step of faith. And the Bible says that without faith, it's impossible to please God. Mm-hmm. So I know that faith moves God. It, when you put your faith in him, it moves him. And so I prayed that prayer in faith and continued to wait. And, of course, had times of doubt and like, oh man, I've never had a boyfriend. Finished my master's degree. I'm working. Still never had a boyfriend. I was so discouraged. I was like, God, do you hear me? Like, and he did. I would never have imagined that he would take me. I was living in Virginia Beach. He would take me to Nigeria, where Sam was. And indeed, on our first date, that's exactly what happened. And so for the details, please read the book.
In your book, the details are in your book.
But I hope it encourages you that geography is not a limit. to God. That's nothing.
Yeah, thank you, Simi, for sharing this. Thank you for sharing. I hear you talking about working with mentors, and also keeping and building yourself into the person that you want your proposed or now your husband to be attracted to. So you were waiting, you were trusting God, you were waiting, but you were also building yourself up, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And I think because you're also right, you once wrote an article for a magazine that I edit, and I think you called that article, is it the bun or a bun in the oven? Talking about how ladies, what they should do while waiting, or the things, even a man, because men also wait for their partners. What should people be doing while waiting for the ice cream man? And now let's talk about it from the point of view of finances. You're building, what should you be doing waiting for the right man or right woman?
Yeah. I think it's important, you're waiting on God, but doesn't mean God says, do nothing. There's another version of, when you to wait on something or someone, like a waiter, you're serving the Lord. You're actively walking in your purpose as you're trusting him for whatever that is. So it's not a wait to be like, okay, I'm going to do nothing. I'm going to sleep and, just hope this happens. You are, and I think Ruth and Boaz is a great example because she served as she was waiting.
Fantastic example, yeah.
Yeah, she was in the field, she was gleaning, she was using what she had, her times and her talent. She wasn't just complaining and like, oh, there's nobody. She was being faithful as a daughter-in-law of, Naomi, as a servant. So whatever you find your hands to do it with all diligence. Do it with all your heart, as in serving the Lord, knowing that he sees you, he's heard your prayer, and he knows you're being faithful in your tasks. And I always believe as you walk faithfully with the tasks that he's called you to do, whether you're building, you're in your career, you're in like you're getting education or getting whatever you need to improve yourself, while you're waiting on the Lord and trusting him, you stay faithful with what he's called you to do. And as you go along, that person that is for you will be alongside you and will see you. Like Boaz saw Ruth. Like my husband saw me. I was actually on a work trip producing, and I went to visit my parents. So it was as I'm doing what I was doing normally and still pursuing God. Like it's not like, and I always say when he talks about it, he's like, he just saw me worshiping. I was like, who's that? Like, I didn't know that's what caught his eye.
Yeah.
I think it's important. Yeah. To keep your hands busy with what God has called you to do as you're waiting for what he's promised. If that makes sense.
I love the beautiful examples you used. Honestly, that's why, I don't know if I've been a teacher of young people, teenagers in the church for a very long time. And I would always be very open to hear, what God wants to speak to my heart, even through those young people. And like I said at the beginning of this program, I was eager to hear what God will speak to my heart. I've read the Bible, because I'm older than you, I can say that. I've read the Bible, not more than you, but I started reading the Bible before you. But I love this example, Boaz and Ruth, right?
Yes.
So she wasn't waiting, she was doing something. And then the analogy of the waiter, you have to do something. And you said waiting does not mean, the way you even said it casually, just made it just hit home. Waiting doesn't mean do nothing. So whilst we're waiting, we must work on ourselves. And I'll look for that article and put it on my page very soon, because it's been a while now that you wrote that article about the bun in the oven. You have to work on yourself, bake yourself, make yourself into somebody that can be attracted.
Yes.
Build your values. And when we're looking at it from the money point of view, You were producing, you were on a work trip to Nigeria. So work on your finances. I have a sister that always says that it's important for ladies to have what they call vex money. I don't know, you left Nigeria a long time ago, so you may not know what that means. But what it means is that you have your own money so that you have a voice. And it's very important. Before Pastor Sam met you, you were working. You had a voice. And it's not only finances that gives ladies voices. The deep relationship that you have with Christ is even what is your best confidence booster, right? Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. Now I want to go straight and quickly into money, and marriage. I know, yeah, you're American, but before you were American, you're Nigerian. Have you heard where they talk about my money is my money? A woman will say, my money is my money. His money is our money.
Yes.
My money is, you've heard it said. I don't know if it's only a Nigerian thing, but many people do that. They say, my money is my money. His money, especially ladies, his money is our money. So is your money his money? Is his money your money? What money boundaries have you both set? And how has this worked for you? And if there's anything you don't want to talk about that you think is too personal, you can just talk about this thing I've spoken about generally without, talking about your specifics. What do you think about ladies or, in couple relationships where, the couples set apart, they distinguish between what they own?
So, for us, my husband and I, we have a view of money that, first of all the money is God's money. It's his money. That's the foundation. He owns the earth. He owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. It is his wealth. We are stewards of what God has given. Now, God has put us together, and he's the one that joined us together, knowing, our different backgrounds, our money personalities. We believe that he did that on purpose, knowing that my strengths and my husband's strengths coming together will make a stronger unit, not just for our kids, but for our community, people around us. So we had that mindset coming in, that foundation of, the money belongs to the Lord. And so for us, it's not your money, his money. Like, to me, it's like when you become one, you're one. So, and I do understand that the process of becoming one doesn't just happen like that. It's not like, you're coming from two different backgrounds, but we understood that God put us together. So there's a purpose he did. And so we work together in it, knowing it belongs to God, but we are one. We share, that's just our philosophy. We trust, there's a trust there where we trust each other in that area. And I feel like if couples don't have a trust in the financial area, that's a big problem. To me, that's it's going to be hard to move if you have that foundation of, no, it's mine, I'm spent, no, that's yours. Like, it's not like we're coming in as friends, we're husband and wife. So that's just our foundation. That's where we build from. We did know that it's important for us to find out our money personalities and our strengths, and who, my husband is great in the investing and thinking of the future and thinking of how can we set up, for me, my strength is like, okay, we need to save. So it's like we come with each other's, we lean on each other for our strengths, and we work together. We have meetings, we talk about it. So I don't know if that starts to
that you answered the question. You answered the question, and you didn't even, except for the people around the call and for people who maybe are not walking so closely with God the way they should, answering with the simple statement, there's no my money or his money, it's God's money. It's deep, but it's good that you expanded and elaborated on that and explained your understanding of that. It's very good, and it's a good way to look at it. And you're teaching me, you're teaching me because I see counsel people. So that's a good way to look at it. You mentioned it briefly, but it would have been my follow-up question, but you talked about it a little bit. I was going to ask you what you and Pastor Sam are doing, about retirement. You're young, you're both young, but when we have this conversation, I try to touch on things that I want people to be focused on. So you've been with CBN for a long time now. I'm sure someday you want to, you would have to leave CBN. So what are your plans? What's Pastor Sam doing? What are you both doing looking into the future?
Yes, I think we always have that awareness, and my husband's very good at that, knowing that just because you're fit and healthy today, like you don't know tomorrow. You can never just assume, your situation now will be your situation forever. So it's something that we, with the income we have retirement savings, things like that, the 401k, just like putting things aside, and then also saving as well. So, and just looking into way like business, we have a sports business, consulting, like things we do alongside what we're doing now. So it's not just, you rely on one thing, as the Bible says, put your portion to 7 and yes to 8, like, because you never know which one is going to do well or not. So it's, for us, it's important to plan. And I know everyone's situation is different and everyone's circumstances, sometimes it's high, sometimes it's low, but no matter how little, save. Like I like the principle of, the tithe and then the saving, like that 10% saving. So like that is helpful because it's like, as soon as you get it, just put it away, like just be disciplined in that. And just we do our planning, and then you have kids and they have needs, things come up always. So just having like emergency funds and just, saving for when things happen, because they will. So just having a plan. And I always want to encourage people, no matter what, because I think sometimes you hear people and you think they've arrived and you're like, oh my goodness, like I'm so far behind. It's never too late to start. You're never
too late. I like that.
You're not. You could today, if you're like, you know what, from this paycheck, I'm going to start save. That is good. That's something you're growing in your financial knowledge. Like, I think that's important, not to feel like you have to be an expert, but to start where you are. I don't know. What's the second part of the question?
No, it's fine. I'll start asking what you and Pastor Sam are doing about the future. And one, I hear you saying you have your eyes on that, both of you, and you're planning, and you're quite aware that, the bones will get weak as you age. And you're already doing things on the side. You have businesses on the side, different from, what you're doing. And I'm sure that at some point, the books you're writing also, it's also would generate passive income, right? So what's important for my friends around the call is, like you said, it's never too late to start saving and investing. I heard you use that word, no matter your age, it's never too late. And it's never too early as well. As a matter of fact, if you put 3 coaches, finance coaches together, and you ask them, when is the best time to start planning for retirement? They say to you, day one. They want to start planning for retirement from the first day on the job, because like Simi said this evening, the bones will get weak. And your needs later in life, you need to begin to plan for them. Thank you so much for that response. I was going to ask you, there's so many questions to ask you, but I want to keep this at 1 hour. I was going to ask you, what are you doing with the children? I think last time we had a conversation, I don't know if it's Emmanuel who is a small entrepreneur in that house. What are you doing? How are you teaching the children about money?
Oh, yes. I for us, it's so important for us to carry them along. They understand, first of all, work ethic.
Work ethics.
A work ethic. Yes, they know you got to work. Like no matter what you find your hand to do it well, do it diligently.
Do it diligently. Yeah.
Right now they're at age, they're in school, they're doing sports, and I try to instill the same thing I learned. Like nothing is going to be. Nobody owes you anything. Anything. You have to work for what you have. You have to plan. You have to build your skills and talents. And I always teach them too, like to ask God what it is that he's put in them to do, because God gives us certain gifts and talents. And I always say to them, the gift that God has given you is not for you. It's to give to others, So I always want them to have that in mind. But, we talk about it, even if we're going to eat out at a restaurant, I'll have them say, okay, guess how much all of this costs. So they know, so they have a value.
Yeah.
We're not just, eating out for no reason. Like I want to teach them as they go, not to have a fear of money or
worship it.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. It's not like the Bible says, the love of money is the root of all evil. To be content with what you have, but also to have anything, you need to work. It's Nathaniel that had
is it lemonade or something? Was it Nathaniel?
A business. What did he? Well, we first started it in the house, and so he wanted to take it online as well. TBM, he called it, which is Toys, Books, and More. So just trying to help him in that. Honestly, I think, us being so busy trying to help him, I think we're slowing him down, but he's creating in other ways. And Emmanuel as well, like creating in media. He has a channel called Nate Tunes. So if you're a YouTuber, subscribe. It's Nate Tunes.
What did you call it?
NATETOONZ. It's a cartoon that he writes the stuff and voices it. I don't even know how he does it. He's just and they'll ask me, how can I make money this summer? So I'll give you jobs to do. We'll give you jobs to do. So if you want to, I like that they are thinking that way. So just little. It's not like we're so like strict, but I feel like as we go, we teach, and they'll learn from observing us, and that's how we are teaching.
Yeah.
And they each have their own accounts, so they'll be counting the money. They count it.
And if somebody gives them a gift, they don't let you take it off them.
No, and I'm very strict about that. Like I'm not going to be, let me take. That's your money, It's your money.
Thank you so much, Simi. There are so many questions that I, can ask you and that people around the call can benefit from. I just wanted to bring out for the audience today, the intersection, the connection between faith, a relationship, a good relationship, family, and how we can create and grow wealth. In spite of our backgrounds, in spite of, what opportunities or maybe experiences or difficulties that we may have had in the past, if we walk with God, we get direction and we can build wealth, and we can start, like you say, at any point in time, and we can build wealth. And we didn't have the time to get to it, but the benefits of having a partner who you're completely aligned with in terms of how you choose and do things is, I think you mentioned it actually, it's very important in wealth creation. The man or woman that you're going to marry, being aligned with the person in terms of the cost of life is very, very very important, and is a good foundation for growing wealth. If you make a mistake with your life partner, it can ruin you, it can mar you. And if you're lucky enough and privileged enough that God chooses your ice cream man for you, then you work together, and you work together, WORK and WALK, together to build wealth. You are aligned in how you direct your finances. Your priorities are similar. You respect one another. You are accountable to one another. And ultimately, those are financial habits There are money habits that help people grow wealth.
Yeah.
Diversification, knowing where your strengths and your weaknesses are. You say you know where your strength is. Your husband is the investor, right? So those things are very, very important. And I also like that you shared. I'm not the one monitoring the comments today, but I sneaked and I looked and I saw Mrs. Oladejo joining us from Ibadan saying, "What an awesome testimony." And I thank you for sharing it. I think last time we got copies of the books. And if you're joining us tonight and you want copies of the book, please send an email to financecoachtoday@gmail.com. We're going to give out some copies of The Ice Cream Man. What's the name of the second book? I think it has to do with parenting.
Oh, yes. My second book is called I Want to Be a Mommy When I Grow Up. Lessons of Faith and Hope.
Yes. I want to be a mommy when I grow up.
Yeah.
Lessons of what?
Lessons of faith and hope.
And hope. And I think it dwells on parenting, right?
Yes. I talk about my testimony, going blind, and also because I know there are a lot of people who want to be parents and maybe are struggling. And then it's also for people who are young parents and it's, it's hard juggling it. So just encouraging them in that season.
Okay, maybe we'll do 50-50. We could share copies of that as well. But people around the call, if you want copies of any of Simi's book, my community, the Finance Coach BK community, we would be sharing to not as many, but I have a number in my mind. So you better be the first to send the email to us. Before we wrap up today, I know, Simi, you might have a question for me, but I'd invited my friend, and she's also a professional colleague. I'd invited her to join us today. One, because I wanted her to talk about her perspective about, building wealth and starting, a career in another land. She, like you're Nigerian and you moved to the United States very early. She's Nigerian, but she moved to North America. She moved to Canada, but as a professional, right? As a chartered accountant. So I wanted to ask her a question. And so it's always a bonus, we've advertised today and we said we're having Simi on the hot seat, but I always like to bring some attraction different from what we've advertised to it. And Simi, you might also gain from it. Simi Lane, could you please put Rebecca on the stage? She's not going to show her camera, but she's going to be able to talk. Could you please put her on the stage? Thank you so much, Rebecca, for joining us. I just want you to speak. Maybe you have comments about the session this evening. You can start with that. But the question that I have for you is, you're a professional who left Nigeria to come to, you went to North America, you went to Canada, and so your new home is a different place. And you're also a wife, you're starting a family, you're young, you only recently got married. And so I want you to talk about things that are different, when it comes to wealth creation, living in Nigeria and living abroad.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mrs. Bimbo. Thank you very much, Simi. It's been an interesting session, and I have learned a lot because I'm someone, I always look forward to learning. It always excites me when I see people, speaking my language, and this is very deep, talking about faith, your testimonies. Even if Mrs. Bimbo was trying to shorten your testimony and saying we would have another session for that.
I have to balance it.
Very quickly, as a professional coming from Nigeria, it's been it's been a whole lot of learning, looking at where we are coming from, where you have your money, you can do things at any time you feel you can. Coming this way, getting to know that no matter how wealthy you are, even if you have your money, you must create a credit profile. I got to know that late because anything that has to do with debt, I try as much as possible to run away from it. So if I had known from the moment I stepped my leg, on this land, I would have gone to grab my credit card, right? So I could, create my score, build a credit score, looking at the long run, trying to get mortgage and some other benefit. So what we try to do, trying to build wealth here since we have been using the credit card, we have tried to prioritize our needs over our wants. And also what we're
Mhm.
trying to do is trying to, repay our credit balance on time so we don't fall into debt. Sometimes I tell my husband as an accountant and he's like, are you sure you're becoming stingy? And I'm like, no, we are just trying to be prudent. You will get to like enjoy this very soon. Also, I can remember a time where we went to a very close by province. We went with our debit card. Then we didn't have a credit card, and we already checked into the hotel. We paid for it, upfront payment. And when we got there, and they were like, "Oh, they needed a credit card information to impute in the system," and I was like, "I have my money. I have debit card," and the guy was like, "No, I'm sorry, we have to do a refund." So, and it was winter, we were in the cold, walking from one hotel to the other until we finally got a very small motel. Luckily, we had little cash on us and we had to do a cash deposit in replacement of the credit card and all that. It wasn't easy. So, what we tried to do basically, we are still trying to build, we're still trying to settle. Also, we are also trying to look for, we are also looking at, having a side job, like we call it in Nigeria, having a side hustle, different from the corporate job we go for, 8:30 to 4:30. We're also trying to see how we can bring our consulting knowledge and try making little money from it. It's been a journey of learning, and we are still learning, and that is why we have our finance coach here, who has also been helpful. We also have mentors and other parents that are also telling us how we can navigate the system and start working on getting our mortgage. We don't need to have all the money to get the mortgage and all that. So it's basically a whole experience of learning for us, and we're still learning. And we are grateful for sessions like this, where we also get to meet people like you, Simi, and some other persons. Thank you very much. I hope I didn't talk too much because I like talking.
No, Rebecca, thank you so much for sharing your experience. And it's something that Christians shy away from. And God save you if you're a Christian that is living in Nigeria. And we're told that borrowing is bad, but that's conversation for another day. So when you come and you migrate and go to a new place and you come with that mentality, you lose out on opportunities because you don't know that it's important to even borrow and demonstrate responsibility by repaying, because credit cards and all of that is not so important, back home. So what's important, if I hear you very well, Rebecca, from your experience, is ask questions and be aware of what is important in the new environment that you're moving to. And you talked
Absolutely.
about mentoring. Ask people questions, the people who have been there before you, and seek financial education. Seek financial education as much as you can, and so that you can understand the new terrain that you find yourself. Thank you so much for sharing, Rebecca, and for showing up today. I really appreciate this. Thank you, Mrs. Oladejo. Thank you so much, Ma, for joining us from Ibadan. I can see your honor, Mrs. Famobiwo. Thank you for joining. She says, wow, so instructive. All money is God's money. Simi, you don't know what you've been dropping this evening. Those little things that you've been dropping. To you, you're talking naturally, you're just answering, you're just telling us what's your experience. But people around the call have been blessed. For some people, it's one sentence in maybe your testimony, not the testimony of, your ice cream, but even the testimony that you shared when I asked you, how has God shown up for you? And you talked about, that temporary one, which was a scary one for your family. And, your immediate family and extended family was quite scary, but God showed up. And then also you talked about work when we're waiting. You use the analogy of the waiter. The waiter is doing something. They may not be around the table, but they move back, but they're waiting on you. So when you're waiting on God, you also need to work just like Ruth. You don't just fold your arms. So what are you doing with yourself? How are you making yourself that person that will be attracted to the person that God has created for you as a partner? You said you were just worshiping. You were doing your own thing. You were just worshiping. Thank you so much for sharing. We're actually almost about over the hour. But do you have any question for me? Maybe it's just one. Do you have any
Yes,
question?
I do have a question for you because, first of all, I think this platform that you have is incredible.
Thank you so much.
Cool. I'm sure those who are following have learned so much from you, and just for you to step out and do this is we're all so grateful. So I would love to know what inspired you to start this coaching platform and teach people about finances. What was the inspiration for you?
Thank you so much, Simi. I'll start with a friend, a very close friend of mine who is also a mentor, who said to me, she called it a ministry. And then she referred to the finance coaching thing as a ministry. I actually was like, ministry? Is this a Christian ministry or something? But it was a deep statement, because in ministry there's sacrifice. In ministry, you help people. But going back to the why, my background is accounting. I'm a chartered accountant. I qualified as a chartered banker, and I worked for so many years in the finance realm. But I left a lot of change on the table because I wasn't financially educated. I left a lot of money on the table. And when I came to the realization that there isn't just one way to invest, which was what I did for almost 20 or 25 years, I realized that there may be other people in my situation who are academically educated, even in the finance realm, but are just plain careless, not doing the right thing. And so I started, I picked it up. I started working with, close family members, and then I extended it to ministry, to the church, and then I just opened it up to other people. And I have just one goal, to make sure that people understand the opportunities to having financial freedom. Because if you don't understand that it is a possibility, then you will remain where you are at, right? If you don't understand, thank you, Coach Martha. If you don't understand that there's an opportunity to be financially free, that you can earn more, like you have said, and Rebecca has said, it's not only one source of income. And I was so fixated. Thank God for the patience of the husband that I have. I remember some years, can't remember the year now, but he brought up a business opportunity on the table. And I was so angry because, you see, I had this career in an oil and gas company and I was earning so well. And I looked down on that opportunity. I'm like, why would we go into this? Because I did not understand multiplicity of sources of income. I was educated, I was a chartered accountant. That's just one example. Or do I want to go to when we sent our children to England to school? And our son said to us towards the end of his degree program and said, parents, you are paying so much as a hostel accommodation. Why don't you go into real estate in the UK, get a place, I pick one room, you don't pay anything as accommodation, hostel fees, you're building equity on the accommodation, and I said, you're too little. What is he saying? Nobody listened to him. He graduated, had his master's in the UK, and we're paying, I can't remember how much the hostel accommodation then was, maybe 15,000 a year in pound sterling, I can't remember for sure. And we paid that all through. And we did not invest in real estate because not that we didn't have the down payment or whatever, it just was not an important thing because we were so fixated on one source of income. Now I want to help people see that there's something beyond one source of income. And that's why what I use in teaching people in the Finance Coach BK community is what I call the ESI model. So I say, you want to grow wealth, you must earn more, you must save better, and you must invest well. If you're doing those three things well, there's no way you won't grow wealth. So it's a combination of many things. I left so much on the table. I don't want people to do the same. I want people to know earlier than I did how to improve themselves. And I had something during last week, sometime 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I was listening to somebody who is very senior somewhere, and he said, when you want to give to philanthropy, You can give to philanthropy better from wealth. Give from income, but you don't give as much as you can give to philanthropy from wealth.
Wow.
If you're giving from income. I don't know if you understand that.
I do.
So
I catch it.
you do understand that, yeah. So you're giving from income. You have little. You're in somebody's employment. So you might not even give. Some don't give from income. Only wealthy people give to philanthropy. People who bring you back to Nigeria who don't chop belly full. But some people who are kind-hearted, who are Christians, or they may not even be Christians, but who sacrifice, they can still give out of their income, right? But your capacity to give to philanthropy or to lift other people up, using Davido's language, it comes from having wealth. If you're wealthy, you're financially free, you're not counting, then you're able to help more people.
That's true.
So it's a combination of many things. I'm sorry that I went on and on and on, but I just wanted to.
We need to have a session where we're just asking you questions, because you have such a wealth of knowledge that we are learning. I know everyone on this platform feels the same. So thank you for giving back. Yeah.
Thank you, Simi. I should thank you for always. I know your schedule is very tight because you have young children and your job is demanding. And you have ministry work, and Pastor Sam is there. You have to be Pastor Sam's sweetheart. And so I really do appreciate, you creating the one time to be with us today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
The 1 hour to be with us today. Thank you so much. I don't think I've been checking, I don't think we have any question. We do have some comments. Yes, Mrs. Famobio says, it's so instructive. Yeah, I've read that. And yeah, Coach Mata says, thank you for yielding the call and giving back always. Thank you so much, Simi. We're going to wrap it up here. And ladies and gentlemen around the call, every year since 2020, we have an annual workshop. We call it annual financial literacy workshop. It runs over, 1 day. This year, we're going to have it for 3 days. It's going to start on the 29th of August. 29th of August to the 31st of August, Friday to Sunday. We're going to have a program, annual financial literacy workshop. Please visit our website, www.FinanceCoachBK.com. The details of the workshop are all there, and the registration link is there. The Friday session, we're going to start in the morning, and we're talking to young adults. We'll continue in the evening, we'll be talking to young adults. And then on Saturday and Sunday, we're going to bring investment experts and more finance experts and investment coaches, people that can advise you on what to do and where to place your money. And my panel this year, I have people talking to us from the experience in the United Kingdom. I have our coach from America, Dr. Charity, she'll be part of the conversation. I have Coach Shayo, she'll be talking to us. She lives in Canada. And I have Dr. Ayode Jebo. So the details are all there. He lives in Nigeria. I have Dr. Theo and Engineer Nii. So it's going to be, you're going to be listening to experts, about 8 of us over the course of 3 days. Coach Martha will be with us. She's going to talk to the children on day 1 and also going to share her experience. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being part of this conversation today. Thank you for always showing up. If it was just Simi and I, then we have no one to talk to. Simi, thank you so much, and thank Pastor Sam for releasing you for 1 hour.
I will. Thank you. I can't thank you enough. This was really insightful for me as well. So thank you.
And we'll take an argument about whether you were sport or not outside this call. Thank you so much, Simi. Your life is a testimony, and I'm so grateful to God that I am related to you. Now I can release that for the people to hear. We are related. She's Nii Komolafe. Yes, Somodumbi, thank you for joining. Thank you. And they're thanking you, Simi. My friends are thanking you.
Thank you all. God bless you all.
All right. Have a good week.
You too.
Thank you.